Hello, my name is Trevor Angad, teacher librarian at Eastlake High School in San Diego County. I think everyone's good to go in terms of muting their microphones. Welcome to CSI, Curriculum Trifecta, Technology, WASC, and Diversity. Our presenters are Dr. Leslie Farmer, professor in the Educational Technology Master's Program and coordinator for the Teacher Librarian Service Credential at Long Beach State, Andrea Catania Stevenson, teacher librarian at El Camino High School in Sacramento, and Linda Kennedy, teacher librarian and tech coach at Albiani Middle School located in the Elk Grove District. On behalf of CSLA, thank you for presenting today, and I'll pass it over to our presenters.
Great, so thank you so much, folks, for joining us today or in the future if you're listening to this recording. As you hear, my work at CSLA specifically is with the Committee on Standards Integration. And I co-chair a wonderful team of folks, but there is room for more. So just want to put a plug on that from the very beginning. We have a really active committee and we've been doing lots of good work. So this year we wanted to kind of like present a trifecta of the work that we've done. So we'll be sharing our efforts in terms of WASC and teacher librarians' participation and leadership in that. We have the great pleasure of sharing the efforts, the effectiveness of Linda Kennedy, who is our award winner for the Tech Award. And then we'll be finishing up on some work that we've started and we hope that you'll join us in, and that has to do with diversity resources. So with that, Andrea, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. So this is the WASC Focus on Learning. The information that's here is about what we did to update the document that was already created by CSLA and to make it current. So here we go. Why the update? The accreditation is based on the Focus on Learning document created by WASC, and it's used to evaluate a school's program for accreditation, and it sets the criteria and effectiveness with regard to student learning. WASC evaluations are continually changing and an ongoing process, and since the library is part of the school's curriculum and overall program, we saw that the library should be included in this process, and they created the first document for Focus on Learning in 2003 to tell them what could be done when it comes to the library. This document that I'm going to share with you today is just an updated revision of that previously approved CSLA document. When I couldn't find the original 2003 document, I went ahead and made a copy of it and printed it out. It was 16 pages and I just retyped a fresh copy so I could go over it and make sure that everything that was in the old document was also in the new document. So then I printed out the rubric from the newest Focus on Learning document and compared the old and the new document with each other and brought each section up to date, aligning it with what was in the new FOL document, making sure that the library was specifically mentioned in each one of the sections. The revision date on the updated library document now reads 2020, so it's very, very current. This function of this document was with regard to the viability of the library in the school that a WASC team is evaluating. The rubric at the end of the document specifically guides the team to score the library by its program, physical space, and staffing according to the California Library Standards. The school should be held accountable when the library standards are not met, just like when English or math or science or history standards are not met, and it should be included as a recommendation for improvement in the final evaluation. Sharing out this information with the districts and the schools, we wanted to emphasize all the existing laws and regulations that school libraries already have in place, and to open a dialogue with these agencies regarding the Focus on Learning update. So how are the districts and the schools going to know about this information? Will there be any teeth in this document? So Dr. Farmer and I contacted the WASC main office in Burlingame and talked to Dr. Marilyn George in October. We had a very in-depth conversation with her, and we're still waiting the follow-up because they're doing a lot of trainings. So in the meantime, teacher librarians are encouraged to share this information with their schools, even if they're not scheduled for a WASC visit, because then when they do come, you can bring this document to the WASC committee's attention and make sure that the library is addressed in the final WASC write-up document. Even if the write-up shows that there are deficiencies in the library's condition and program need to be mentioned in the document so that it can be improved upon. So we're asking for you as teacher librarians to endorse the laws out there and make it known to your own principals in the meantime. We are encouraging the WASC Commission to recognize that school libraries are integral to a school's program and recognize the deficiencies, especially in staffing and funding, and then apply this consistency in evaluating school library programs according to the library standards, and work with CSLA if you're unfamiliar with where these are, for encourage compliance of the existing laws and regulations. So the place where you can go is if you go to the CSLA website, and we'll put this in the chat. It's under csla.net, and way over on the right under the resources tab, there's a drop-down menu that says what's with WASC and TLs, and there's a PDF of this document with the evaluation rubric. If you are a teacher librarian, be on your WASC, volunteer to be a WASC committee member. It's very easy to do. You go onto the WASC website and just sign up. It's great professional development, and you get to see how other libraries are in other schools. So we encourage you to do that. Just recently, CTA, as of January 27th, recommended the following learning support personnel ratios, which was a good thing for us because we actually have a teacher librarian on one of the advisory committees, and this recommendation did not come out of teaching and learning, but it came out of professional development. But they recommended maximum ratios for personnel like nurses, counselors, social workers, and psychologists. And this is what they came up with for credentialed teacher librarians. Every school site with up to 600 students, pre-K through 12, plus a clerk, and a minimum of one full-time credentialed teacher librarian for every school site with a population of 600 or more students with a tech and clerical support. These recommendations came out of a long and arduous process, and we encouraged them and talked with CTA and had them look at teacher librarians as part of an integral school of the school programs, and why is our program not being evaluated the same as every other program with standards. So if not now, when? If not us, who, as teacher librarians? We got to keep moving forward. And there's the last line of the great Amanda Gorman speech. If we're only brave enough to see the light, we only have to be it. And if you want to contact me, my email address is right here. And again, that website is csla.net. Go to the far right-hand side where it says resources and click on the box that says what's with WASC and TLs, and the evaluation rubric is at the end of that document.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And just as FYI, this is what that page looks like. So you've got a nice PowerPoint that's directed to your teacher librarian. So share that, with your peers in your district. And then we also have a PowerPoint that's directed to the school community. So giving you some tools, plus the document's been a lot of work. And so we hope that you can really leverage it. So that's kind of our advocacy piece. And now we would really like to, again, welcome Linda Kennedy, who has a full day today in terms of kind of sharing her expertise in technology. So we're so happy that we were able to honor her with the Technology Award. So with that, Linda, share. Thank you again, Andrea. Really good.
Yes, thank you. That was a lot of information. So I love tech, so that's my presentation that's what I titled it. So just kind of a little introduction about myself. I teach at Albiani Middle School, which is in the Elk Grove School District. I consider myself not only a teacher, but I'm a book promoter, I'm a library decorator, I'm a marketing specialist, a club advisor, and definitely a technology enthusiast. There's just so much involved in being a teacher librarian beyond just checking in and checking out books. And definitely technology has become an important part of everything that I do. And it's definitely made me a better teacher librarian. So I want to show you examples today of how I use technology to support teachers, how I use it to support students, and how I use it to promote the library. These are three important roles that teacher librarians do in the library, and just kind of show you some examples. There's a lot, so I'm just gonna kind of pick a couple because it'd be too much if I went into everyone. So the one thing that I ended up doing when we all went virtual is I became a professional development trainer. So I trained my entire district. They could sign up for, I trained them how to use Screencastify. So instruction was done virtually on Zoom. I taught them about Padlet, and I also taught them about how to do Google posters and Google Slides. But the one thing that I was able to do, which we were all thrown into distance learning, is I wanted to show you this Padlet that I curated. We are curators, one of our roles as librarians. And this is what I curated. I gathered some best practices for distance learning. And these examples not only came from my teachers at my school site, so they can each see what other teachers are doing, units of study, lessons that other teachers have done in Screencastify, websites that they've used. And so you can see, I try to hit every single subject area. I try to get teachers to share at least one thing so they can see across the subject area what all our teachers were doing. So this is what I curated at the start of the beginning of the school year for this school year, because we had just done distance learning in March, April, May, just for 3 months. And then we were thrown into it in August. So that's one of the things that I helped to kind of support my teachers on my campus. So the other thing that I did a lot of is videos. Once distance learning started, we were all creating videos. So I wanted to show you here. This is my YouTube channel. And on here, I have technology trips, little kind of helpful hints for my teachers. I have lots of student how-to. Some of the students have not ever logged in, so they didn't know how to log in. They've never explored Google Classroom, so there were some how-to videos for them, as well as when I did my Screencastify webinar for my teachers, I gave them examples of what they could say, how to use Screencastify. So there's examples in there, as well as you'll see, I had a library advisory club. So you'll see a lot of promotional videos I put on there, and just lots of library instruction. So how to use our catalog, how to request a book, how to look at your library account, how to access our EBSCO databases. Everything had to be done virtually, and video was the platform for distance learning. So this is my YouTube channel that teachers and students and parents can access 24/7. So
Linda, I don't mean to interrupt. Am I, because I can see your links. Do you mind if I share them in the chat just so people could go get some inspiration for your videos and whatnot?
sure, I can share my entire presentation.
Sure, either one.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear it just to make sure, like, before I start sharing everything. So my apologies.
Yeah. How about at the end of the presentation, I'll put a link to this entire presentation. Obviously, I'm not clicking on everyone because there's just too much.
So much to do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I just kind of want to highlight a few things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I also did a monthly newsletter virtually. Back in April, it was National Stress Release Humor Month. So this is Padlet, and Padlet is so easy. You can link to a video, a website, a file, and I was able to kind of culminate different activities to share that teachers can implement in the classroom. So helping them in that ways, kind of exploring other activities that they can do. So that's teachers. So let's talk about students. Again, tons of videos. I actually used Wakelet. If you have not used Wakelet before, it's a very great curation tool, but I was able to put all the videos that related to students in one place so they could quickly access not only videos, but also how-to guides and so forth to help them with the beginning of the school year. And so this was available to them from my library website, which I will also show you right here. So this is the front page of my library website. This month we're celebrating Black History Month and Chinese New Year. But if you scroll down, there are links here that link to the Wakelets. So that's what Wakelet is so nice. If one click will take you to all the videos and the information that the kids can quickly access 24/7. So, and then definitely, I did this year. Our district is really promoting diversity in our school district. So every month we celebrate a different ethnic group. So like this month is Black History Month, but it is also Chinese New Year. So I created every month a different exploration board. So this would be provided to all teachers. It is self-independent. The teacher doesn't need to do any kind of instruction, and they can simply assign it to kind of help kids learn about other cultures. What is Chinese New Year? What kind of traditions do you follow? What kind of foods do you eat? You know, what kind of activities do you do? So each of these link to a slide that has a video that the kids can watch independently. And at the end, after the students have watched this, there is a quizzes on slide 10 that they can take a quiz on all the information that they kind of reviewed and learned in this exploration board. So this year, every month, the teachers are getting a different exploration board. So September was Hispanic Heritage Month. And so October, I don't remember what we did, but each month there was a different exploration board that I shared with my staff. So, and also I support teachers in their curricular resources. So let's see what this one is. So our 8th graders do a whole unit on House on Mango Street. And so I helped support my teachers in implementing that unit by coming up with this kind of like a background. This builds background. So the students would look at the videos, okay, and at the end, after researching all of these, there's different themes that come out in House on Mango Street. And so the teachers wanted the kids to have a little background knowledge about the theme before they select the theme that they're going to do their project on. So this builds background for the kids before they start their research project. So this was created for the my 8th grade English team to implement and support their units. So that's just one example there. Okay. All right. And let's talk about the library. Okay. There's so much you can use technology to support your library. One of the easiest thing that I did this year, because it's hard, the kids aren't here in person, so everything has to be done virtually. So we did a book flicks virtual book promotion, and literally, because we're in distance learning, I had a lot of time to weed books. So we had a lot of weeded books. What do you do with all those weeded books? So what we did was we created this book flicks. We organized it by genre, and all the books on this list are either donated books or books that we have weeded. So when the kids request a book, the book will never become overdue. They can keep it forever. So we don't have any issues about recollecting the books from them. And we are recycling our weeded books that have been sitting in the library. So we promoted this with our students. It's organized by genre. If you go back here, there is a Google form where the kids can request the book from the library, and we notify them and they pick up the book from the office. So that's one of the virtual things that we did at the beginning of the school year to kind of keep kids reading different books. We still checked out books to students, but this is just another program on top of our program we're already doing. We also do virtual, what I call virtual book shopping. So it's hard to do in-person book talks. It's not the same doing it virtually, but this is one way kids could do virtual book shopping. I just finished a session where I talked about getting kids to take a genre test to identify the genre that they are most interested in. And based on that genre, the kids can watch any of these book trailers based on their identified genres. So it's a more productive way to get kids to read books that they would really enjoy. So this is a virtual way where you can promote books. All of these are book trailers that the kids can watch. You don't have to be there. This could be done. They can watch it on their own time. If you wanted to do a in-person, you can still do that and just use the book trailers as another way to support yourself. So, and then this year, I started with 2 other schools. We're doing a virtual battle of the books. So if any of you have know the traditional battle of the books, you have a team of students, they read 3 to 5 books. This year we only did 3 books. And then you compete as teams. This year we're competing with 2 other middle schools in my district. So this virtual battle of the books, there's a little promo there, a commercial for the books that we're reading. Those are the 3 books that we're reading: Legend, Dead is New Black, and Slay, which is our newest book. And it's just a great way to get kids to read and connect with kids outside of class, because definitely kids are always looking for a connection. And this one's a commercial here for the club. So,
Linda, do you mind if I ask a couple questions that have come up in the chat?
sure.
Sure. First from Lisa, what genre test are you using to sort of align kids towards whatever genres they're interested in reading?
So it's a PowerPoint I got from Mrs. Reader Pants. I'll pull it up. And she is another teacher librarian. Let me get in here. I just presented it in the other session, but I can show it to you. It's this test right here is what is your genre personality? This is the middle school, high school version. She also has an elementary version. And basically, let me go through it here. There are several questions that the kids answer. So if I go to the first question so you can see, it kind of probes them about their interests. What are they interested in? And so they pick a letter from each of the questions. So you would read because, and so it asks questions about why would they want to read, what career they would want to be, what movies they like. It kind of helps identify what genre they like, what career they want. Here's more movies, and where they would like to be, and who they would like to meet. And so let me go to the end so you can see, based on their results, they would be put in different categories. So if they had mostly A answers, they would like mysteries, detective stories, because most of those answers would direct them to these kinds of genres. If they liked mostly B answers, it would direct them to fantasy, because most of the answers were fantasy, Harry Potter kind of books, and so forth. So based on this genre test, if you recall my, let me go back here, my book shopping corresponds to that genre test. So all the books that I select from the mostly A answers or mostly B answers connect to those genres. So it really helps kids to really find the books that would really enjoy, rather than randomly pick. You identify what the kids are interested in. It's sort of like when you do some questioning of students when they come into the library and they say, I'm looking for a book.
Right.
And you ask them, okay, what was the last movie you read that you really enjoyed? And so it does the same thing, that genre test does the same thing, and then you point them in the correct direction. This is, I think, a better approach in terms of recommending books to students, rather than just randomly giving them some random titles. You really narrow it down to their interest. So, was there another question?
Yeah, there is. From Marina, how will you hold your virtual battles?
So this is the first time we've done a virtual battle. So what we're gonna do is each team will be put in a breakout room. Once we have a question, each breakout room will have an adult proctor to ensure the students aren't looking at books or looking at notes or using technology. And then the group will come up with one common answer, and then they'll come back into the main room and they'll all show the answers at the same time, and the questions will be scored in the large Zoom room. So, okay, was there another question?
Nope, we're good to go.
Okay. All right, so I definitely encourage you, this is a way you can do a reading challenge. I don't think you have to, I would actually encourage kids during distance learning to keep reading. It's a nice outlet from regular schoolwork. It's a nice escape. So this is a winter reading challenge board that I created that ran from almost the beginning of holiday break, and it'll run all the way to spring break. So the kids can kind of hit one of these genres or one of these choices as part of the reading challenge. And then I'm going to show you this one. This one was a presentation that I did at CSLA last year, but it just shows you how much teacher librarians do. We wear so many different hats. It's not just the book hat. It's so much that we do. We're a coach, we're a resource curator. But this Wakelet lists all of the different tools that I use as part of my job as a library media teacher. And so I wanted to share that out last year with teacher librarians at CSLA to show them you don't have to use just one tool. There's so many tools out there to help you do your job as a teacher librarian. So this was something I curated for my attendees, just to kind of show what we all do as teacher librarian. It's just so much is out there, and it does definitely make me a better teacher librarian by using technology, just so you can see from the different examples. So.
There's one more question. Dr. Farmer, was that to me or to the room? Just making sure.
That was to ask Linda, yes.
Okay, just making sure. I'm like, I'm not sure. I'll ask. For the reading challenge, does each child download the reading challenge slide? How do they share it and with whom? Like, what's the process of checking it in afterwards?
Okay, that's a good question. This reading challenge, yes, you would make a copy for each student in Google Classroom. I think that would be the easiest one. And usually I have a little kind of activity to kind of connect with the book to kind of show that you actually did read the book. So there isn't a little handout that I have that goes with it. And they can either fill up the whole board or do one row. You know, I leave up the goal to the individual student. It can be as short or as complete. This is a simplified one. I have other reading challenges that are more detailed, but this one is the simplest one that you can incorporate. And then if they complete a row, I just deliver like a little tiny prize to them. If they finish one row, another prize. If they finish the whole board, a different prize. And that's all left in like in the bag at the office for them to pick up. So does that answer her question?
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was a lot. I did a lot of talking. So here's my contact information. If you ever have a question, I will put this presentation in the chat like I promised. And so if you ever have any questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to me. So let me get that in the chat.
So you can see why she was awarded the technology award. And you know, also shows like we can be just as busy and just as effective, you know, during the pandemic as any other time. And Linda, you've certainly given us some great inspiration, some practical tools. I know that I'm certainly going to be sharing that with my students. So thank you so much. And please announce what's your next presentation today, Linda?
Oh, if you have not used Wakelet before and are curious about Wakelet, there's an afternoon session that I'm presenting along with a high school teacher. So you get 2 different teacher librarian ideas of how to use Wakelet. It's an amazing tool. I can't live it without it because I use it for everything that I do. So hope you guys can join me. It's at 2 o'clock. So
there you go. So now you know how to spend a valuable 2 to 3 p.m. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. So again, you can see, you know, great work that's been done by our committee and great work by other folks that have been, you know, touched, you know, by CSI. And so the last piece that we wanted to share with you, our Tri and Trifecta, is one that we are working on right now. And I think I'm going to stop share with just only that one slide. So let me make sure I get that one correct. Okay, so I'll just, hopefully, there we are, perfect. So this is a work in progress. Basically, we wanted to figure out how we could help you folks in terms of addressing diversity. And of course, diversity is in a number of dimensions. So we're starting out with in terms of, you know, cultural diversity, and then we'll be also looking at disabilities, special needs, and on gender, and you know the nuances of that. So you can see, and let me make this just a little bit larger for you. Okay, so again, the short URL is tinyurl.com and then /CSLA CSI, because that's our Committee on Standards Integration, Ethnicity Resources. So Trevor, if you would also put that in the chat, that would be great. And so I just want to do a quick walkthrough, and I want you to know that we would appreciate, your contributions to that. So already you know that if you're interested, and I hope you are, with WASC kinds of things, Andrea is our lead person on that. And certainly for right now, if you've got ideas for the diversity resources, contact me. The easiest easiest email address is lfarmer@csulb.edu. And Trevor will put that also in the chat. So walking through. So we're starting out with racial ethnic diversity, and our kind of umbrella is the idea of universal design for learning. So, resources for all students, okay? So what we have are kind of some general overviews in terms of diverse, collections, resources, programming. Then some resources on collection development, some approaches, including, auditing, your collection in terms of diversity. Then also some selection tools, and as much as possible for all these resources, if there was like an overall bibliography, that's what we really, aim for, so that you wouldn't have to go through quite so many things. Then we looked at good bibliographies, some that are, cross levels, such as like the American Library Association and some other groups. And it just thought of another one right now, IBBY and the Center for Children's Books. So I'll have to add those. And then elementary and middle school and high school level. And then we also did resources by, ethnicities, so that sometimes, get not the amount of attention that they should. So we have First Americans, African Americans, Asian Americans, Latinx, Latin Americans, and Middle East and Middle Eastern Americans. And then in terms of instructional design, so how we can, use these resources, integrate them into the curriculum. And then we know that money can be tight. So we also have listed some support resources where you can get free and reduced cost resources. And then we also have points that kind of like underline all this is, universal design for learning. So again, that we can have really rich, diverse collections. So that's kind of the overview. Again, this is the URL. We're having folks from the Leadership for Diversity crew that are joining on this. Thank you very much. Again, hopefully, the materials that you've seen, the efforts, the products that we've created, hopefully that kind of inspire you and think, I could do this, or like they really need some help. So in either case, we do welcome you to join the committee, and I believe that CSLA has a form for that. Again, you're free to just contact me, directly, and we would appreciate that, because there's a lot of good resources among our membership. So let's really optimize, your gifts and your contributions, because it's going to help a whole bunch of people. So with that, we have time for a few questions, comments. So just put them in the chat, and you can ask any of us. Again, this is being recorded, and hopefully will be available to everyone who has been participating in the conference. Any last words from Linda and Andrea?
I think we're good.
Okay. Trevor, any last statements?
Nope, I think that's it. I've posted links for all of the presentation resources or any links that are mentioned. So the CSLA, WASC, and teacher librarians, the Linda Loves Tech presentation, and then your resources here, Dr. Farmer, the diversity resources.
Fantastic.
So that's all posted.
Thank you. So this is a session that keeps on giving. So you have a lot that you can look at afterwards. So kind of think of all of this as sort of like a quick book trailer, and hopefully you'll read the full session. So thank you very much.